watched Friday the 13th Part 7, New Blood, and I finally made it to Kane Hodder. This is the Jasoniest Jason who's ever Jasoned. Kane Hodder plays Jason for 4 movies over the course of 14 years. And this is the Jason normies think of when they think of Jason. He's undead, he's unstoppable, he is built like a condemned refrigerator. This is Jason fully realized. And as I watched the opening scene of the little girl from Poltergeist accidentally killing her dad with psychic powers, I suddenly realized, oh my god, this is the movie my cousin Jason tried to force me to watch when I was like 6 years old or something, and I am sure this information is completely unrelated to who I am as a person now. So yeah, this movie has a pretty solid late 80s feel to it, and the writing is a little more intentional than it has been in the past. Tina is the little girl, and she's got psychic powers. And at the very start, she kills her father with her powers on accident because she's mad at him because he is hitting her mom. And this movie really just sort of skips over that. He dies, and Tina is traumatized, understandably so. And of course, for some reason, they live on Crystal Lake, so Tina's dad's corpse is just chilling out there, down, hanging out with Jason. I cannot imagine the small talk was any good. These movies really want to have like a mental health as like a major theme in them in ways that feels pretty solidly mental health is a punchline in the way that only 80s and 90s movies could have pulled off. Eh. Years later, Tina is dragged back to Crystal Lake by her therapist, Dr. Cruz. And I don't know what Timu therapy website Tina's mom got this guy off of, but he walks on screen and every alarm in your head goes, oh god, no! These are the haunting dead eyes of a man who has absolutely slashed someone's tires from parking in the wrong spot. He has forced Tina back to Crystal Lake to help her somehow because she's in and out of mental health hospitals her whole life, again, because she accidentally killed her dad. His methods are not it, and it's clear he's more interested in Tina's psychic powers than actually helping her. And her powers are tied to her emotions, which are, shocker, a little unregulated. In a desperate attempt to reach her father, Tina stands on the edge of Crystal Lake and uses her powers to connect to him or bring him back or whatever. Unfortunately, her aim is terrible, and she instead resurrects Jason, which is honestly probably the worst possible skill issue in the history of horror movies. Now, this Jason is so fun. He's got an exposed spine, and you can see his face, and it's all decayed and monstrous. It's great. I am delighted every time he is on screen. Hodder has the motions down, and Jason has fully become an unstoppable force of nature. Clearly, there is influence from Graham's Jason from Part 6, and I think the biggest difference is that this Jason, the Part 6 Jason, still seems like he had to think about things. He was still deciding on stuff. This Jason doesn't think. Earlier Jasons were still making decisions, and this Jason is pure action. He sees a person, moves towards the person, kills the person. There is no thought process. Jason's not making choices anymore. Jason is an environmental hazard. And now the neighbors to Tina are around her age and invite her over to a party they're throwing for a friend who is never going to show up because Jason wrapped him around a tree. And somehow these teenagers are good? Not Oscar winning good, not like I want to hang out with them, but actual distinct human beings. I know, I was shocked too. They have personalities, they have different social dynamics. The costume department clearly knew who these people were supposed to be. We have come a long way from blue guy in blue shirt number 4. Now, one of the neighbors clearly likes Tina, and he's actually kind of a good guy, which means he may be the most unrealistic part of this movie. He helps her, he defends her from the bitch with the fuck ass bob. He doesn't freak out when she's making the walls rattle every time she gets upset. I approve, thumbs up. Tina actually has premonitions about Jason. She sees him killing people, and it almost seems like Jason sees her too from within the premonitions. The movie never outright says it, but I got this vibe that Tina is basically supernatural catnip. Jason seems to be homing in on Tina and just mowing down everybody in his way. He is an unstoppable force about to meet mood swings with a bite. The kills in this movie are pretty neutered. The MPAA hates fun and always has, but this movie makes up for it by being really inventive with its kills. We get the first sleeping bag kill in the franchise, and it's incredible. Jason doesn't really kill her so much as use her as sporting equipment. It's hilarious, and I love it. Crystal Lake also seems to have a cursed Home Depot hidden in the trees because Jason is showing up with a new random yard tool constantly and a passion for gardening. At one point, I'm pretty sure he's just browsing inventory between kills. This man has a landscaping side quest. We get him playing golf with a guy's head and an axe, chasing people with a tree trimmer and the machete, of course. There's a surprising number of heads getting thrown around, which is a little goofy, but the movie isn't allowed to hold on gore shots for any length of time, so you never get a good look at them, anyways. Dr. Cruz continues to prove that my first impression was correct. He realizes pretty early on that Jason is out there and he's just awful and gaslights Tina so hard and acts like there isn't an undead problem out in the woods. He sacrifices Tina's mom to Jason to save his own skin, but thankfully that doesn't last forever. Tina slowly gains control of her powers and decides to square up with Jason after enough carnage, and I love this. She's like the only person who can actually take Jason on, and we get some great shots. It's got the vibes of Stephen King meets Tales from the Crypt, and I am living for it. Eventually, Tina stops trying to fight Jason like a person, and she starts fighting him like an unstoppable force. The guns don't work, running doesn't work, so she graduates to just dropping entire sections of buildings onto him, which feels like the correct response. And so, how does Tina eventually defeat Jason? Why, by resurrecting her dad and making it his problem. This movie really does just sort of gloss over the time, gloss over the fact that the only time we saw Tina's dad alive, he was hitting her mom. Like, I'm just not supposed to care about that? Guess not. But apparently, death gives him a redemption arc. Good for him, I guess. And Jason is once again banished to the bottom of the lake, ready for his next wacky hijinks. This was fun. More importantly, it felt like the people actually cared when they were making it. The MPAA absolutely mutilated the gore effects, and you can feel that throughout the whole movie. But the pacing is better, the characters are better. Tina is a fun protagonist, and Kane Hodder immediately understands what makes Jason work. And most importantly, Jason spends the entire movie looking like a drowned medieval curse that escaped from a lake and wandered into a suburban hardware store. That's cinema.